Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. Many thanks for your overwhelming interest for the press conference of Vice President and EP Rapporteur for Kosovo, Ulrike Lunaçek. After the statement of Madame Lunaçek, I will invite you for your questions. Ulrike, please.
Sorry? Okay. Welcome again. And I'm glad to be back in Kosovo after about half a year. When I was here last time, the SAA, the Stabilization and Association Agreement, had just went into force, which was a very good message. Now I'm here again with the latest report by the Commission, and now starting to prepare the report of the European Parliament on Kosovo, and also when the European reform agenda is being presented tomorrow, which is a very concrete step towards, together with the government of Kosovo, with the Parliament and with institutions, to move ahead in the implementation of the SAA. A lot is about the economy. This is about how to create more jobs. And let me just explain one or two things. One is, for example, to invest into education and how this combines with the needs of the labor market and what people can learn in order also to have a job afterwards. This is, for example, one of the things that the European reform agenda plays, because we know, even though that the GDP of Kosovo has been growing in the past, still people need jobs, especially young people. And that's what this European reform agenda is there for. And the other thing, one that is very important also, is to attract foreign investment. Well, but how can that be done? That can be done if, for example, procurement is done in a very transparent way, electronically, for example, e-procurement, and that tenders are done transparently, because transparency is the first step against corruption. And we know that especially in big infrastructure projects, there is quite often the danger of corruption. So as soon as that is done transparently, for example, via e-procurement, there is a way out. There is a way that transparency will, in the future, prevent corruption cases to take place, and it will attract more foreign investment. So that's just two things what this European reform agenda is about that will be presented tomorrow afternoon. Now, referring again to what, since last time I was here, I think there was one very good and very great thing that was reported worldwide on Kosovo. This was nothing to do with politics. It was the Olympics in Rio, and the first time Kosovo participating, and Melinda Kalmendi winning the gold medal, which I also here would like to congratulate her again. I think this was great, and her interviews and statements really made a case for Kosovo and Kosovo citizens, not just for Kosovo, but all over the world. So that is some of the good things that happened in the past. Now, the one thing that probably all of you are waiting for me to say something about is visa liberalization and where Kosovo stands here. You know, from my previous visits to Kosovo, it has been one of my very important points, also in my reports on Kosovo, time and again, hoping that there will be progress. Now, I have to say that the European Union has moved ahead. Since last time I was here, there has been the roadmap given, there has been defined that there is the green light for visa liberalization as soon as the two remaining criteria are being fulfilled. And this is an improved track record on high-level convictions for organized crime and corruption. That's the one thing. And the other one is to ratify the border demarcation with Montenegro. These criteria have to be fulfilled. I know about the situation. I know you're going to ask me questions about it, so I can tell you already before that this is something where also me and myself, I really ask, and all the members of your government of political parties, President, everybody I've been meeting today, I also urge them to move ahead with that and try to get ratification done in the Assembly. Because those who say that all the other member states, all the other countries of the region got visa liberalization already years ago, yes, it is true. But it is also true that the world around Kosovo has changed since 2009 and 2010. Not that we all like what we are seeing. We have a war in Syria where millions of refugees, or more than 1 million last year, have been trying to reach the European Union. We had citizens from Kosovo seeking asylum, tens of thousands, less than 2 years ago in EU member states, which created again an image of Kosovo that people are not happy living here and all want to leave. And so I really urge Kosovo Assembly, Kosovo politicians to now deliver. Because as I said already yesterday and in different cases, yes, Kosovo citizens deserve to travel freely for 3 months to EU and to EU member states. I'm convinced of that, but now the ball is in the courts of Kosovo politicians, and the key is in the hand of Kosovo politicians. I've been very clear on that, and as I say, yes, Kosovo citizens deserve it, but the key is now in the hands of Kosovo politicians, of the Assembly of Kosovo, to ratify. And I do hope they will do that as soon as possible, and then the next step for visa liberalization will be done by the European Union. Maybe one last point before I gladly will answer your questions. I hear a lot now that the EU is backing away from support for Kosovo, that the European Union is to blame for halting processes and progress. In a partnership, if two people or two states, if Kosovo and the European Union are the two partners, then we both have to look in our own court what we can do here. We have to do that in the European Union, and they have been trying to explain to you that the situation has not become easier. But also Kosovo has to deliver. It does not help if one partner blames the other one and does not look what he or she himself can do. So that also was my message and will be my message today and tomorrow to Kosovo politicians. Please do what you should do in order to deliver for your citizens. I do hope, as I said, this will happen soon. And I'll finish here in order to hear your questions and try to answer them. Thank you. Parliamentarian. Hvala.
Thank you, Ulrike. The floor is yours.
Just have some water in between.
Okay.
And please also say who you are so I know.
Albert Ahmeti, Gazeta Zëri. Është folë që nëse nuk plotësohen kriteret gjatë...
Wait a second, slowly, just to get it. Okay.
Nëse nuk plotësohen kriteret gjatë këtij viti, vitin e ardhshëm do të ketë zgjedhje në disa vende të vëjës, a do ta vështirësoj këtë proces kjo?
We are collecting some questions and then, yep.
Faleminderit, jam Dibrani Strepi, gazetar për Klan Kosovës. Kam 2 pyetje për zonin Lunaçek. E para ka të bëjë me çështjen e demarkacionit të kufirit me malin e Zi. E përmendet se bota rreth nesh ka ndryshuar, e përmendet krizën e refugjatëve dhe njëkohësisht është një argument nga politikanët tanë që thonë se të gjitha vendeve të rajonit u është vënë liberalizimi i vizave pa këtë kriter. A mund të na shpjegoni se çka ndërlidhet kriza e refugjatëve me ratifikimin e marrëveshjes së demarkacionit të kufirit në malin e Zi për Kosovën? Kjo është pyetja e parë. Edhe pyetja e dytë ka të bëjë me raportin e progresit, që fokus ka sistemin e drejtësisë, luftën kundër korrupsionit dhe krimit të organizuar. Në këto që shoh përpara, pothuajse në të gjitha pikat thuhet që Kosova është në fazën fillestare, është early stage, në hapin e parë. Kritikohet për interferime politike sistemi i drejtësisë. A do të ketë edhe ashtu kjo një prej poenta, një prej pikave për cilat ne do të kemi pasoja për liberalizim të vizave. Faleminderit.
Okay.
I'll start.
One more.
Okay, continue.
Besat Galizet nga Radio Televizioni Kosovës. Në raportin e progresit kemi pasur është përmendur edhe televizioni publik, kurse fundmi është themizmuar edhe verbalisht, por edhe me bombë RTP-ja dhe shtëpia e drejtorit general. Në fakt, si e shihni ju zgjidhjen që të heqë dorë një herë për gjithmonë politika nga kjo shtëpi mediatike?
Could you repeat the last part of the question, because now the interpreter didn't hear you well and I didn't understand the interpretation.
Atëherë si e shihni që RTP-ja, transmetuesi publik, pra të heqë dorë politika nga presionet e shumta që kërkon dhe të mos mbahet peng, duke mos zgjidhur çështjen e financimit të përjashtë.
Thank you. Next round.
Yeah, I'll do the first round and then you can continue. The first question, whether the elections that are going to happen in some member states of the EU next year might hamper progress of Kosovo. Well, we have, it is a reality, not just in the EU, but what we just had day before yesterday and yesterday in the US, means that we have more influence by populists, also in the European Union by parties and politicians who want to close borders, who do not want to have any more foreigners, who do not want to have enlargement, for example. Yes, we have more and more of those. This is a reality we have to face. I do not expect really that, for example, in France, Marine Le Pen will become president. I do not hope so, but since yesterday I'm not so sure what polls and hopes really mean. Anyway, I cannot tell you what will happen. I hope that governments and parliaments in the European Union will keep up their promises that the European Union did in 2003 in Thessaloniki, saying that all Western Balkan countries should become members of the European Union. For the European Parliament and for the European Commission, and also for the Council, so for all three EU institutions, this is still a reality. This is still what I work with, and we in the Parliament work with. But when I talked about how the situation has changed around Europe, around the world since 2010, when the last of your neighbor countries got visa liberalization, this is true, and it is also true that the situation is serious. The election of Trump in the US, also, I would say, for Kosovo, at least what I fear at the moment, is not the best news. Would have been a lot better, and I personally would have preferred that as well, that Hillary Clinton would have won. A US president who is proud of his strong relations with Mr. Putin. I think for none of us who want a strong European Union and the Western Balkans to be part of that is a good message. So in that context, the situation is serious. Yeah? That's why I also am so strong and demanding on Kosovo politicians to deliver on promises that they have been giving, yeah? Or on things that they have signed. And that is, and I will refer to the last question of you to ask me two questions. the fight against corruption and organized crime. Yes, it's true that the Commission, and I agree with that, sees that Kosovo has not done enough on that, neither the former government nor the government now. One of the two conditions for visa liberalization is an improved track record on high-level convictions on organized crime and corruption. There has been improvement. I'm not saying that nothing has become better. No, there has been some improvement, but it's not enough yet. And that is not just because it's a criteria for progress to the European Union, also for visa liberalization. This is something for Kosovo citizens, because you want your money to go to something that you see and not into the private pockets of some people. You want the money that you pay as taxes to be for education, for the health system, for better jobs, and not, as I said, for pockets of some. So that is something that really needs to improve, and where the government has to deliver more. And you have to help them, yeah? Not you, I mean, personally, but citizens have to help them in order to say no wherever there is any bribes or anything asked for them, yeah? And make it public. Use media report on that, yeah? Make it public that corruption is a crime and not something you do in order to get something, yeah? This is a crime, and it has to be punished, and it has to be publicized. I think media have an important role there to deliver on that, even if you know that some in your government or some in high-level positions will not like that. But in order to improve, we need media as well to move forward there. Now, on the border demarcation with Montenegro, yes, it's true that in 2009 and 2010, the other countries in the region who got visa liberalization, border demarcation was not seen as a problem there. But the situation has changed since then. We had since then a member state, Slovenia, blocking Croatia from joining because of border issues. And nobody in the EU wants to see that again. That's why it was put on the benchmark for Kosovo there. And that's why I also think there can be a solution for that with Kosovo. This is, and you asked me how that is connected to the refugee crisis. That is connected in the way that the ones in the Council who have to, in the end, after Kosovo does their benchmarks, who have to then again say yes to it, it's ministers of the interior. And they, many of them, remember Kosovo citizens asking for asylum, tens of thousands, almost 2 years ago. And also having more than 1 million refugees crossing the Balkans and by other ways towards, not through Kosovo, but through the region, to try to get to the EU. And that again combines with the fact that many of EU governments are under pressure, or the people in government, the governments think they are under pressure by right-wing and extreme right-wing parties not to accept any more refugees, migrants, foreigners, etc. So this has changed a lot since 2010. I do not like it, yeah, but it is a fact, and we have to deal with the facts as they are now, yeah? And not with things how we would love to have them, with illusions. The last thing is RTK, and the public broadcaster is mentioned in the report. It will also be mentioned in my report in the European Parliament. I also condemned strongly the way that even like bomb attacks and others that was done too, like the General Director's house. And yes, there has to be clear finances for public broadcaster have to be very clear how much they are there. I know that RTK has started, what was it, last year, also RTK2, which broadcasts to the Serb community in Kosovo, which I think is a good fact, but then also the money needs to improve, needs to raise for that. Because you cannot do with the same money or even less services for more people or for more communities. Yeah? So yes, that is one of the tasks I think that is important. It also will make a public broadcaster more independent, yeah? Because that's what we need also in Kosovo, independent media, journalists who dare to report on things that as I said before, are maybe not liked by everybody. Yeah? So in that sense, yes, that is one of the demands as well, also from the European Parliament, that the restrictions, financially speaking, on the public broadcaster have to be lifted, and there has to be more finances for that.
Thank you. The lady in the last.
Përshëndetje. Nora prej kohës ditore. E kemi një deklarat presidentit Hashim Thaçi dje që e ka shkruar në rrjetin social Facebook, ku ka thënë që BE-a është e paqartë dhe jo unike sa I përket të ardhmës evropiane të Kosovës, edhe për këtë arsye ka thënë sipas presidentit janë tekstuar çfarë shumë ngjecie në raportin e progresit për Kosovën. Si komentoni këto deklarata të presidentit?
Yeah. Is there another question? Yeah. There's the first and then.
Ismail Shabani, Kosova Press. A mbetet definitivisht demarkacioni kriter dhe nëse miratohet demarkacioni, a është e garantuar me liberalizimi I vizave prej BE-s?
Okay.
Yeah, after talking to some politicians here, okay. How likely is it that that it's possible to pass this border demarcation? Wait again. I was listening to a thing. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Was it okay? After you have been talking to some of the politicians here, how likely is it that this border demarcation deal can pass the parliament here, and when do you think it's possible?
Okay. Anybody else?
How helpful...
Du musst zum Beispiel.
Oh, sorry. Ralph Leonhardt, die Furche, Austria. How helpful is it when Mr. Johnson comes here promising investments and help with Serbia?
Okay. Another question.
Do lidhem sërish tek çështja e demarkacionit, e kemi pasur që Partia e Pushtetit kanë bërë pamundurën që ta kalojnë, po me sa kemi thonë këtë formë qysh është demarkacioni nuk do të kalojë. Atëherë cila është zgjidhja? A janë zgjedhjet zgjidhje?
So, thank you.
Okay, I'll start with the border demarcation thing with the three requests or questions around it. I'll start with the last one. Yes, it's true. Mr. Thaçi, who is now president, he signed the agreement in August of 2015. So it's true that the government had agreed on that before. That's why I'm also saying it needs to be ratified. I won't comment on the question whether elections are a solution or not. Yeah, that's for Kosovo to decide, for Kosovo Parliament to decide if they do a vote of no confidence, and it feels that that's not for me to decide, and I also think it's not for internationals to decide, but that's something that Kosovo needs to decide by themselves whenever elections are to be held. That's very clear for me. Now, on whether I can tell if or when the ratification of the border demarcation agreement will be done in the Assembly, no, I cannot. Neither if nor when. I have urged everybody I meet to go ahead with it, to try to get their act together, with all the arguments I've also told you now, because the world around Kosovo and the situation is serious, yeah, and that also has to be taken into account. I hope, and that also it doesn't help to blame others, has to be delivered. And the third question was whether if the demarcation agreement is ratified, whether then it is guaranteed that Kosovo will get visa-free travel. no, there is no 100% guarantee, but if it's not done, then it's a guarantee that it won't come, at least not until it is done. So what I can tell you, as soon as the ratification is there and as soon as the track record on high-level convictions on organized crime and corruption is there, then it will go to the Council of Ministers of the Interior, and then there is lots of arguments from me, from all the supporters Kosovo has, not just in the European Parliament, but also in many governments, including the UK, if you talk about Boris Johnson, who still are members of the EU and who will also have a word to say in the Council of Ministers. Then it is up to us again. Then the key is in our hands to make sure that Kosovo gets visa-free travel. And yes, I'm convinced that the chances are there, and that if Kosovo ratifies it and does the two criteria, then I'm also convinced that it will come. I cannot promise 100% because I'm not part of a government. But the Parliament will for sure do that, and the Parliament has some influence on that, believe me. But without Kosovo doing their part, our hands are bound. It is step by step.
The lady from Coimbatore.
I have been also in the past somebody who has been critical of the European Union and of how things did not go the way I wanted. I was the one who in all of my reports has the demand in that the 5 remaining member states recognize Kosovo, all of that. So yes, in the EU is not always unified. The EU has internal problems, especially now with Brexit as well. But the European future for Kosovo, that is something that is still there, that is still not just on the paper, but also in the big majority of governments, in the Commission and in the European Parliament. But it is both sides have to do things. If Kosovo doesn't deliver, then we cannot continue delivering. So that's why I said before, blaming always the other one does not help. We have to do inside the EU, and I'm doing what I can there to move ahead, but also in Kosovo things have to be delivered. If that doesn't happen, then we have problems also arguing in your favor. And the last thing with whether it's helpful that Boris Johnson comes and promises investments from the UK and will help with Serbia. I find it good that he comes and does that. They're still part of the European Union. It will still help if they will help with Serbia, of course. The UK has been a strong supporter of Kosovo in the past and will continue to do so, whether as part of the European Union or whether outside. And, the Brexit process hasn't even started yet officially. Theresa May has promised to start to invoke Article 50 that will start a 2-year process in March. But now there still is the question in the UK whether the Parliament of the UK also needs to decide, and that might delay the process. And then there will be a 2-year period of negotiating how this Brexit will happen. So the UK will be a member of the EU for at least 2 or 3 years more. And in that sense, yes, I find it helpful that Boris Johnson comes here, tells Kosovars he wants to support investment by the UK here, and he also will help with Serbia. I hope he will do that still in the context of the European Union and not only on his own.
Thank you.
In Kosovo. Is it possible? Is it possible for Kosovo to renegotiate this agreement? I'm talking for demarcation.
Not as I see it now. I know there are intentions of talking with Montenegro to find a way out. They can try, try to do it. In that sense, I cannot promise anything, but we have to find a solution. So I don't see it at the moment. But if your government and the Montenegrin government tries to move something ahead, well, do it. Yeah. And then we will see to it. At the moment, I don't see it. Yeah? But if they want to do it, they should try. Yeah? We need all kinds of ideas of how we can move ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your interest, and see you again. All the best.
Albert, 470.125, shkruaj. Që do po thash nështë nuk e din, e së më që në së